Hey, all you airsoft fanatics and firearms enthusiasts. This is Isaiah here, owner and co founder of Honorary Force Supply. If you've been watching my videos, the past 3 days I haven't made a video, or past 2 days, I haven't made a video just because I've had a project going on, and that project is making the Hellregal. If you do not know what a Hellregal is, I'll put up a name somewhere on the screen on how to spell it, and what it looks like is this. I'm gonna put up a couple pictures. This is what I found on the internet that people were holding, and this is what it looks like. So going off of what it looks like, I'm trying to build it as what's it called? Um, as what it looks like as much as possible, just because I want it to make it look exactly like it and work exactly like how it should be. The only downside of making this on the project is I do not know what the internals look like. As far as I know, it is I believe I want to say it's an open bolt submachine gun. At the time, it was a submachine gun. Um, but I know it has a drum mag and a stick mag, stick box mag, and it feeds under the. I'll put up a picture and someone holding it. Um, on one of the pictures, it's a guy holding the Hellregal with the stick mag, and the stick mag holds, I believe, 30, if not 25 rounds. The drum mag holds about 100. I can't remember if it was 160 or 260. It was one of those two, but it holds a lot. And it was the fastest gun of its time, and it was the most portable, fastest gun that would do suppressive fire, um, and lay down just hell. I don't know how to explain it. It's in its name, but it was at the time it was just smart. The only downside of using it is that whenever you had the box magazine, you would have to carry a makeshift backpack for the drum mags, and whenever you held the drum mag to the gun, I'll put it on one of the pictures that I showed up, or I'll put it up again right now. That it's you would have to hold the magazine as you're shooting the gun. So like one person was laying down. If you were to lay down, one person either holds the gun and the other person holds the magazine, or you just lay the magazine a certain way so it could stand upright while feeding in the bullets. Um, so that's the only downside. So whenever you shoot standing upright, you would either have to hold the magazine with one hand, shoot with the other hand, and it'd be really, really hard to shoot, aim down sights, and shoot. Um, or you can just switch out the magazine, not box, the drum magazine for a stick magazine. But then again, it's like, you know, you have so little ammo, it shoots really fast. I believe from what other people are saying, I don't know if it's in documentation. It's hard to tell because there's so little of it. Um, but as years pass on, it's been taken word for word, and it's been brought down to, from what I have heard, that it shoots about 500, if not 400 rounds per second or per minute. Um, and that's pretty fast for its time. It was really fast. Um, it was like the PPSH, except PPSH was made further in its time. Um, um, well, that's the project that I'm trying to work with. So I'm not much of a builder when it comes to firearms. I have made crossbows and bow and arrows and just the real easy ones. but their mechanics is easier than a firearm. And I've been really intrigued this past week with how firearms have been made. Like when it comes down to revolvers, double action and single action is just amazing how it works. Because when the pin is retracted, which is the that little charging handle. I forgot what it's called. The thing that clicks back. I forgot what it's called. When it's pulled back, there's a little click, and when it's a double action, or no, when it's a single action, when you click it once halfways, it allows you to open the chamber to reload or take out bullets or to see a jam or anything like that. And then when you click it again fully, that's when it locks and turns the cylinder and locks the charging, and it allows the trigger to so I'm gonna put a picture up because this is the best picture I found, and that works good for me, because other ones are like have you ever seen those pictures where it's like millions of pieces and they're all in its spot, but it's in an explosion view? Yeah, I don't like those. It's harder to see the pieces one by one working in unison. But this revolver, the way it works is you click it and there's a little spin dial. So when you click it, there's pressure wanting to come back this way, but the trigger is holding that spin dial from letting go. So whenever you let go, which is the trigger, it will spin and pressurize the hammer. That's what it's called, the hammer. It will pressurize the hammer into going forward, and that's what ignites the primer. So I always thought those were amazing. Striker Fire, it's 50-50. I'm trying to do open bolts, and open bolts is what they use. A lot of revolver types, they don't use striker fire, but then they sometimes do. It depends which one you're looking for. Like the Thompson, I believe, I know it's an open bolt. The 1921 M1921, not the 28, because 28 was it was still an open bolt, but it was a different upgraded Thompson. It was called the Chicago Typewriter. The one I'm talking about, the M1921, was the first one. Not the very, very first one, like an A1. It was like the first living one. Like, not a prototype. It was the actual gun that was used in war. It was an open bolt, and it was, every time you pull the trigger, if you hold the trigger down, and this was full auto, if you hold the trigger down, it keeps going back and forth, letting the pushing in the firing pin, igniting the primer, and when all the combustion of the pressure in the gun can't go anywhere, it goes forward for the bullet but comes back for the little pin, and there's a spring behind the pin so it can shoot forward. But when you have semi-auto, it pushes forward, pressurize, comes back, and then with that little whenever you do that little spin dial for the semi-auto, there is it allows a gear for it to stop the full auto action. And if you remove it, it's like this. Pretend my whole hand is the pin and the spring, and this finger right here is the gear. So if you put full auto, it opens, so it goes like this. But if you put in the semi-auto, the semi-auto goes up, but it allows it to basically fire, come back, close, fire, come back, close. So it's like that. So that's what open bolts do. Striker fires do the same thing, except there's a little more depth. There's more depth into it that I don't know because, again, I'm not really interested in striker fires, so I don't know what the detail of it, like how it works. But right now, I'm trying to figure out the trigger mechanism because if you've seen the picture, I'll put up right here. This picture, it's very, like the trigger's pretty long because it goes into the wood and then into the gun. So there's a pretty long depth. So I'm trying to figure out something that's not skinny but long enough to be that size. And for what it looks like in people's hands, that depth or that length from the trigger to the gun to the metal where the receiver is, it looks like it's about 2.5 inches. So I'm trying to make a length of 2.5 inches of workspace for the trigger. And I'm also trying to after that, I'm gonna try to figure out how the spring works. The spring, the charging handle, and just anything in the upper receiver. Because if you look in the upper receiver, there's the back part, the charging handle, and there's these two little pins that stick out. They're not actually pins. One of them, what I know, is they hold the spring in the charging handle. The other one, I have no clue. So I'm guessing it holds the spring in the charging handle too. So there's, I'll put up a picture from what I found. Not from what I found, from what I think. This is my drawing scale of how I think the gun works. Alright, so as you can see in the picture, I have the gun right there. And this is not an exact drawing of the gun. The back stock is actually thicker and shorter. No, it's actually thicker and longer, but where the trigger is and the handguard is actually longer. No, it's actually shorter and thicker. But this is my best drawing of the gun. And on the bottom, as you can see, there's a drum mag and a stick magazine. The cartridge is 9x23 Steyr. Basically, it's the size of a 9mm, but the length, like the bullet length, is actually longer than a 9mm. It looks more like it has a 5.56 or 2.23 Remington. It looks like the length of that bullet, except it's not pointy. It's like a cone. But as you can see on the bottom, I have two types of gears. I'm trying to figure out how the gear mechanism works for full auto and semi-auto. Again, I don't know if this is a full auto gun or a semi-auto gun. So I'm taking precaution and thinking that if it's semi-auto, I'm going one way, but if it's full auto, I'm going another way. In the picture, as you can see, I have a scale on the very bottom of the bottom middle of the picture. There's what looks like where I wrote pin, and it's a tube that it looks like my best description. It looks like a water bottle, and you have a little cap right here, and you can take it off. That cap, actually, you put it in and screw it in, and that's what holds the springs. And there's another thing in there. It's like a filament. It's a real thin. This is from what I think, but it has a little thin sheet of metal, and that's when you screw it in, and that's when you can screw in on the other side to tighten it as a little lug nut or a washer and then a lug nut. But when you screw it in, you have that tightness of it being of it holding two types of pressured springs. So that's why when you see on the bottom middle of the picture, I have two of those little things that stick out at the end to the left, because those will hold the spring. And you have the charging handle. The charging handle is holding the shell ejector, and the shell ejector is when it pulls back, it's hard to, because it's hard to tell. I've only seen it in one direction. I've only seen it facing, like when they're holding it, I've seen them showing their right side, and the gun has been showed on its right side. So again, I haven't seen the left side. So I don't know if the bullets come out the left side or the right side. So I'm guessing it comes out the left side. So when the bullet, or when the pin comes in, the bullet ejects left. So when it ejects left, there's a little thing at the bottom that holds it, but lets go at the same time while there's a pin pushing it. So as it's pushing it and it's going down, it's going to fling out and it's going to retract back in, holding the next round, firing it, letting go, pushes it out, and there you go. And you imagine that going back over and over and over, and it'll become a full auto or semi-auto. But as you can see in the very middle top, there's a trigger, and there's a little diagram of what I think the trigger would look like. I'm still trying to figure it out because I'm making it out of what's it called? Not toothpicks. Like popsicle sticks and a little bit of tape, hot glue, and paper clips. I'm trying to make a little diagram so I can make the real thing out of like metal or some better type of wood. And then I'm first drawing it, and then I'm making it out. I have Legos, the little Technic looking ones. I have all the holes. I have those, except it's a little bit harder just because what's it called? You don't have, they're not small. So like you can start small, they're huge. So I have to upscale it. So it's a little harder to do that. But yeah, there's my project. It is the Hellriegel. The whole name is actually called the Hellriegel M1915. It's a very cool gun. It's gonna take forever to build because, for one, I need my license to build it, and then I need to confirm it to the court to say like, can I build this and use it just for practice or even for show. And I have to wait for their response to say yes or no, and then I can build it. So I have to wait for two things, and those take forever. So like, if I do if I do the license, that will take about 2, maybe 3 weeks because it's COVID, so it could possibly vary. But if I do it for the courthouse as well, that would take another 2 to 3 weeks. Again, because of COVID, and not only because of COVID, but just because of their hours and depending what day I send it in. But yeah, it just varies. Cost is not very much a problem, just because for one, I have this business going, and two, I'm actually wanting to do another business that's also going to be almost in the same category, except it's a little different. But it allows me to build this gun, but also have a business for it. So if I could do both at the same time, my life would be pretty great right now. I would love it. I love my job. So right now, that is it. Trying to build this Hellriegel straight from nothing. It's like building a brand new gun into this world, but it's really not. It's an older model, but trying to bring it back. I first learned this about while watching Forgotten Weapons. Their channel, you should check them out. They have a lot of amazing weapons, and this guy named Ian, I forgot his last name. He does like amazing work of like the history, and whenever he brings in the guns and shows them sometimes, and talks about their past and how they were made and how it began, the story. It's just amazing. I love those videos. That's how I found this one out. Except he didn't have the gun, which was surprising to me because he has like almost every gun. Um, but yeah, that's how I found out the story of it. And I did before that I did want to make a firearm, but I just didn't know what because there's billions, like I'm talking billions of firearms, whether they were made and there's like 500 left or there's 1,000, but they discontinued or they're brand new and there's just little flaws and I want to complete those flaws into perfection. So yeah, there's just a lot. And this one, it's a literal forgotten weapon. It's gone, and I want to bring it back. Um, so yeah, it's gonna take a lot of work, a lot of thought into it. There's gonna be so much of a process that it's gonna take probably a year or two, most likely 2 years, if not more. Um, but yeah, I'm down for that. I have great patience. Um, so yeah, that is it of the video. So if you like this video or like this content, or like about me telling you about my life and what's going on, that goes on with this business that you're looking at, please subscribe or leave a comment, um, and yeah, that's about it. So see all you airsoft fanatics and firearms enthusiasts. Peace out, guys.